It's a good ball played in for Tony Morley. Oh, he missed it! It is! He's away! Villa in the lead!
Good evening, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to the Villa Forever podcast. I am your host, Chad Williams. Please subscribe, and you can follow me on all socials, and you can follow me on Spotify, Apple and Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. Let's spread awareness of Duchenne muscular dystrophy. On tonight's episode, I'm joined by my special guest, Joe Redmond, who is from TurfCast, Burnley FC fan channel. This is the match preview. I'll be doing the pre-match talk show, Aston Villa versus Burnley. In the Premier League on Sunday, there's a 2 p.m. kickoff at Villa Park. It is the Battle of the Clarets. After the Fulham victory, Aston Villa need to back up it now with another victory. I am recording this podcast a few hours before Aston Villa's Europa League game against Feyenoord. Aston Villa fans have travelled to Rotterdam, but in the Premier League, we're up against Burnley, and we need to keep the momentum going. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. How are you?
Yes, very well, thank you. Well, since
days,
Villa's
mate,
bumpy
happy
start, what for Villa? A bumpy start to the season, but a lot better since the win against Fulham.
Yeah, I bet. It's just annoying for us, isn't it, from a Burnley perspective, that you've just managed to get 2 wins on the bounce. Obviously, I'm counting the win against Bologna in the Europa League, and I didn't watch the game live against Fulham, if I'm honest with you, but I did watch the game against Bologna. And the game against Bologna, admittedly, wasn't the best, wasn't the most entertaining.
Yes, it wasn't.
And then you obviously kicked on against Fulham, so frustrating from a Burnley perspective that you just seem to be finding your feet now.
Yeah, it's another home game as well.
Yeah.
Villa Park, we've got the home advantage, so it's a real chance to try and get some more points on the board from Aston Villa point of view. So we need to keep it going.
Yeah, like I said, from your point of view, completely get that. But yeah, it's from outside looking in. I remember looking at this game 3 weeks ago, thinking they haven't even scored a Premier League goal. It's unusual for Villa, but maybe we can go to Villa Park and get a win that will be quite famous and will be one that we remember for a while. But yeah, you just seem to be finding your feet now.
Yes, it's quite a good time. So, Joe, I'm going to go up on the screen the opposition lineup that you sent me. I'll get the Burnley team up. So, Joe, could you talk me through how Burnley set up and how they like to play?
Yeah, well, it's obviously, as you can see, this season we've started with 5 at the back. It's not something we did last season in the Championship. Obviously, Scott Parker is quite well known as a cautious manager. Let's just put it that way. And I feel like obviously we've got into the Premier League. As fans, we've all got PTSD from what happened last time we were here, because we were awful under Vincent Kompany. As good as we were in the Championship under Vincent Kompany, we were awful in the Premier League under Vincent Kompany. And I think Scott Parker's obviously seen how the newly promoted sides have done in the last 2 seasons, and thought we need to be solid here. And I agree to an extent. Like Burnley were brilliant under Sean Dyche because they were built on a solid foundation, and then we'd win games 1-0, 2-0. We never really blow teams away. Obviously, it happened every now and then, but very, very rare. And I like this setup. I do. It didn't really look very good against Man City. But other than that, it's looked okay this season. We've been in games, even the game against Liverpool. It wasn't for that last-minute penalty, we would have got a point. Same at Old Trafford. I know United aren't the force they used to be, but for a team like Burnley going to Old Trafford to be denied again by a last-minute penalty, we are staying in games.
You played very well. You look the games that you play. I've seen you play. You played really well, those guys. Look, you've been very competitive.
Yeah, we've been in games apart from the City game, and even then, like up until the 60th minute, it was 1-1. We capitulated after the 60th minute. I will be honest, we were pretty poor in that last half an hour, but we have been playing well. We got beat convincingly on the first day of the season against Spurs. We beat Sunderland. Look at where they are now. I think they're 5th or something. Yep. We beat them at home, and we I won't say we battered them, but in that second half, we were by far and away the better side. So. Yeah, the league table doesn't look great, but let's just give it a bit of perspective. We've played Tottenham Hotspur, we've played Liverpool, we've played Man City, we've played Man United, we even played Nottingham Forest, who they haven't been great this season, but they finished in the Conference League places last season, obviously in the Europa League places on a technicality, and now we've got yourselves, another team that was up there last season. So. Look at the fixtures we've had compared to Sunderland, and yes, people are giving Sunderland a lot of praise, and rightly so. They've done very well, but we also beat them convincingly at Turf Moor. So yeah, I agree. We have been playing well.
You don't need to panic yet, because it's still early in the season. Still, there's still time to turn it around.
We just need a run of games, and after it's the international break. But then after that. We've got Leeds and we've got Wolves, so we need to be looking at them sort of games and starting to pick some stuff up. If we're still on 4 points after them 2 games, then it might be time to start being a little bit concerned. But I completely agree. There's no need to panic yet.
You play 5 at the back. Not 5 at the back. It's going to be hard to break. It's not hard to break down.
Yeah, that's obviously the reason for that. I mean, it's not as backs to the wall as it seems, because the fullbacks there, the point of the fullbacks is for them to get forward and to exploit that space in front of them and to work well with the wide forwards in Tuna and Anthony, and it's worked quite well. We have looked, I won't say dangerous going forward, but we've had us moments going forward. Obviously scored 2 at Old Trafford, scored 2 at home against Sunderland. So Hartman and Walker will get forward. Obviously Kyle Walker's the wrong side of 35. But he's still got bags of pace. He's still got a lot of quality. He reads the game really, really well. He had a bit of a stinker against.
I love Kyle Walker.
Yeah,
massive fan.
He's come in and done really well. Like I said, he had a bit of a stinker against Man City, but he was playing against Doku, and Doku's superb. Hartman has been probably the buy of the summer, or what our buy of the summer at least, in terms of how he's kicked on, how he's hit the ground running. He's been superb. Gets the ball forward, runs forward. Links up with Anthony really, really well. And then our forwards, Jadon Anthony and Lau Foster. Jadon Anthony's had a great start to the season. He scored 4 goals. There was a lot of question marks over Jadon Anthony, whether he could do it in the Premier League. And there's only Erling Haaland that scored more goals than him so far this season. I'm sure that'll change. But for now, he's had a great start to the season.
Well, the reason of your goalkeeper, Dubravka, I think that's a great signing. I think he's a real high-quality goalkeeper, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. He's come in. He's obviously got bags of experience playing at Newcastle for years. And I think as good as James Trafford was for us last season in the Championship, I think I'm not going to for 1 second blame James Trafford as the reason we got relegated, because it wasn't. But the fact that we have the complete opposite in an experienced goalkeeper that is going to be barking orders, that is going to be coming out and collecting crosses, punching them, or whatever the scenario requires. It's just so different for every time a ball coming in, panicking like we were last time in the Premier League. But now every time a ball comes in, I'm confident that Dubravka's coming out to punch it away. So yeah, Dubravka, I agree. It's a good bit of business.
Also, I noticed in the midfield that there's like a gap. Is that something that Aston Villa will be able to exploit?
Potentially, but I am aware that you guys have got a lot of midfield injuries. So I'm hoping that our midfield, so I'm hoping that our midfield, if anything, could be able to exploit the fact that you guys have got a lot of injuries. Because Florentino Luis is coming from Benfica, and I genuinely believe, Sunderland fans always argue with me on this one, but I genuinely believe that he's the best signing made by a promoted side this summer. Sunderland fans and other people will say Granit Xhaka. Florentino Luis is going under the radar. He is superb. So you have him in there, breaking the play down, getting it to the more, flair players like your Antonies, like your Tuners. He's superb. So I'm hoping that him and Cullen can carry on where they've left off, because they played really, really well in the last few games, barring Man City. Having said that, Luis did play really well still against Man City. And even then, off the bench, we have Ugochukwu, if we want to sacrifice one of the forwards to bring Ugochukwu on. So, yeah, it looks like there's a gap there in the middle. But essentially, it's two people just protecting that back line. And Luis is superb.
Okay. There's also Noel Foster. He still plays for you guys. And last time with Villa and Burnley met, and Villa Park, Noel Foster, remember? Was that game in 2023?
Yeah.
When he scored the equaliser. The wing got that winning penalty done against the West. But Noel Foster, though, he can run in behind, he can. Run into the channels. I'm looking at the long-range passes into him.
Yeah, that's exactly his game. And that's why he always does much better in the Premier League for us than he does in the Championship, because Premier League teams step onto Burnley and leave a lot of space in behind, whereas in the Championship, teams defend deep against us, and he's not the type of player to play in the tight lines and things like that. But when there's space in behind him and you get the ball over the top with the pace that he's got, he's latching onto them balls, and he's beating a lot of defenders to these balls. He's got bags and bags of pace, and he's one of them players that when he goes through on goal, you're going to put a bet, if you're a betting man, on him scoring it. But it's funny that you mentioned that, and I did a pre-game show on my channel earlier today.
Yep.
And the Villa fan again mentioned Lyle Foster and how good he was in that match. But Burnley fans always, but we've been quite frustrated with Lyle, if I'm going to be honest with you, because he's probably not really hit the heights that he should have done over the games. But in that game, he was superb. That is easily his best performance in a Burnley shirt. So fingers crossed for Lyle, he can do it again at Villa Park, because I know Villa like to step onto teams. I know Villa like to have a high line, especially. I think you've tweeted a bit recently.
That's good. Remember, we played that high line, and Burnley punished us.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can do it again from a Burnley perspective. It's not just Foster that you've got to look out for this time. Jadon Anthony as well. He's quite fast. He'll be able to get onto the end of some balls. So if you are going to defend high, I think Emery would look at it and realise that them two are quite fast and probably step off a little bit. He's not stupid as Emery. He knows what he's doing. If you are going to play a high line again, we will punish you again.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. We'll see.
So again, so we'll talk about the game then. So what you expecting from Sunday's game?
It's going to be a tough one, let's be honest. I was looking forward to playing you guys with the form that you were in, the fact that you were struggling to score, the fact that you hadn't won. Like I said at the top of the show, the fact that you've won 2 games in a row now is quite frustrating from a Burnley perspective, I won't lie. But I'm hoping, obviously, like you said, we're recording this, streaming this on Thursday. You've got a game tonight against Feyenoord. It's a shame you're not playing somewhere in Azerbaijan. It was like a 10-hour flight away that you would have been very, very tired for. That's a massive shame. Instead, you've got a 45-minute flight. I don't even think it's 45 minutes from Birmingham. I think it's probably like 35 minutes. I know from Manchester it's 45 minutes. So you'll probably be refreshed, but who knows? Maybe I never wish injuries on players or anything like that, but maybe a few tired legs going into Sunday, things like that, and something like that, or 15 minutes of injury time tonight. Get a few more lactic acid into them muscles. So I'm hoping for a draw. Whether or not we can do that.
There might be a few changes.
Yeah,
and we might rotate the teams like that.
Yeah, if you rotate the team and you got a lot of fresh legs, and that's something that we probably will worry against. But I'm hoping that you go strong tonight. I know you got to win against Bologna, but you want to keep that momentum going in the Europa League as well. Feyenoord and all mugs, it's a tougher game than Bologna, for example. So be interesting to see how you play it. But yeah, fingers crossed. Obviously, from our perspective, that it does get you a bit tired and things like that. And it's not just that as well. Obviously, you'll probably have a day off tomorrow, or very, very, very light training tomorrow. Obviously with the flight back and things like that, and then training again on Saturday, and maybe a look at some tactics and things like that on Saturday. Whereas we've had all week to look at it as well. So it swings and roundabouts. And obviously, I'm just hoping that something like that can play into our hands.
I've been saying it on a show a few times, but momentum is a word that's very important, and we need to keep it going. We need to sort of get a run together. It's a chance to climb up the table. And in the home crowd that we said earlier, and from a Villa point of view, no disrespect to Burnley, but we should be expected to win this game against a newly promoted team. But we're the favourites. And and also, we should be more confident, I think. There's more confidence in the dressing room.
Yeah, now you've got them wins. Obviously, there will be more confidence. Obviously, I think Watkins scored against Fulham as well.
Yes.
You were struggling to score up until that point. I think you scored the week before in a 1-1 draw, if I remember rightly. So, yeah, you're going to be a lot more confident than it was this time 3 weeks ago, for example. So, yeah, there is that side of it. And again, if you win tonight, for example, then that even if you do go strong, that's the flip side of it, isn't it? The confidence will then be roaring into them players as well. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens.
And also, Kyle Walker is returned to Villa Park for him again. Many years ago, he was on loan there.
Yeah, well aware of that, to be fair.
He's playing for some top Premier League clubs. He's a real solid squad player. A little bit, the way we had Ashley Young. I think it's a bit similar to where Kyle Walker is now. With Burnley, with the experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why we brought him in. Well, it's definitely why we brought him in, let's be fair. And there's no way that he'd be playing for somebody like Burnley if he still had the quality he had when he was playing for Man City. So, yeah, he's there for the experience. And he's shown it in abundance as well. It's not just he's won everything at club level. He's won the Champions League, FA Cup with City, Premier League multiple times. Yeah, exactly. So he's come in and he knows the tricks of the trade. Even the little dark arts, like when we were playing Forest the other week, the referee blew for a free kick to Forest, and we were not tired, but it were getting late into the game. Forest were on top, and Kyle Walker was immediately shouting at the goalkeeper, "Go down!" Like Dubravka's like, "Go down, pretend you're injured." Well, I presume that's what he was shouting. He was shouting towards Dubravka, and they were pointing down. Next thing you know, Dubravka's on the floor holding his head. So it's pretty certain. So it's just little things like that just brings experience, and that's again something we missed last time in the Premier League. We signed a load of kids, a load of unknowns from Europe, and we didn't have anybody to grab the situation by the testicles and say, right, get yourself through this game. Whereas Kyle Walker and even Dubravka to an extent are them types of players. So yeah, we do have more experience in the squad this time.
I think it galvanizes the other players.
100%, yeah, 100%. And he's coming, probably showing his medals off. And then, yeah, like you said, he knows what he's doing. So he drags the team through the games. It really does.
And we call Walker as well. I like the way he wins fouls. He can get you higher up the pitch, I think, as well.
Yeah, like I said, he knows how to do certain things.
He sort of pushes forward.
Yeah, I've seen him do it a few times already. Yeah, it's like I said, it brings a lot of experience, and I'd rather have him at Burnley than not, if that makes sense.
Did you read the article that Pep Guardiola said about him? He's one of the best fullbacks that he's ever witnessed.
I think, to be fair, if you're going to pick a Premier League all-time 11, there's only two people that you could have at right back, and that's either Kyle Walker or Gary Neville. Yeah. So he's in the shout for greatest ever right back in the Premier League, and that's good that he's here with us and bringing that experience to Turf Moor.
And I think from a Villa point of view, I want to see Villa get more crosses in the box. Because against Fulham, we have more joy in the wide areas. That's something more that I want to see more often. So not Luke and Dinya putting crosses in. Sort of giving the Burnley defenders something to think about.
Yeah. We are quite good when the ball is in the air. Maxime Esteve is a brilliant defender. He's one of the best defenders I'm not saying but one of the best defenders we've ever had at Burnley. Obviously, we've had the likes of James Tarkowski, Ben Mee, Michael Keane, even Gary Cahill, who was on loan at Burnley in his younger years. But we've been blessed with central defenders, but he's superb. If you're pinging the ball into the box regularly, Steve, as we call him, and Ekdal are going to win a lot of headers. So I think the best way to get in and around Burnley is to sort of play it on feet and just move the ball quickly.
Does he go physically? Because I think Burnley is physically very strong. You got to sort of win the battles.
Yeah, definitely, especially in the middle. And like you said, centre backs as well. So yeah, you've got to be ready for we are still strong. We are still a good physical team, but not like we were under Dyche. So I don't expect your Burnley that's going to rock up under Dyche. But we are still good at them sort of things. So yeah, expect a battle, but we do try and play a bit of football as well now and get the ball out wide to the wide forwards and then get in behind that way.
I think the key thing for Aston Villa is sort of being patient. Wait for the breakthrough. Also, I think we can cause you problems with our attack.
Yes.
We've got a lot of players that can hurt you. I think catch you on the counter attack.
Yeah, it's obviously we've got a lot of good players, especially in the forward areas, even in midfield, even if some of them are missing now. So it's going to be interesting to see how we cope with that.
And John McGinn as well.
Yeah, I like John McGinn. He's a good player. But you've got a lot of good quality. You've got players who can move the ball quickly, can get in behind. Obviously, you've got Ollie Watkins. You've got that new Saki stride from Nice, whose name escapes me. Is it Gresson, something like that? I've not seen too much of him yet.
Gesson.
Yeah, I've not seen too much of him yet, if I'm honest. But I know he came with quite a high pedigree. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how we do it. Like I said, the best way to get at Burnley is to play the ball fast, get in and behind if you can. But my saving grace is the fact that we all right. Let's forget about the City game. But my saving grace is we managed to basically keep Liverpool up for 98 minutes, and it was the luckiest. It is a penalty in the modern game, which is a different debate, but it is a penalty. And it was the luckiest thing in the world from a Liverpool perspective. They just booted the ball at someone's arm, and that's how they got the penalty. So if we can keep Liverpool out, hopefully we can do it again at Villa Park. But it's obviously a lot more difficult when you're playing away from home, especially at massive stadiums like Villa Park.
But then Watkins scored last weekend. But also, I think Morgan Rogers.
Yeah,
I think he really needs a goal. It really help his confidence. Because a lot of players, like in other teams, have learnt to double up on him.
Yeah.
They sort of know what to expect from him.
Yeah, he's a good player, to be fair, is Rodgers. But the same with Watkins, just having a slow start to the season. It will eventually come good, I would imagine. Just like Watkins, it would appear that he has as well. Who knows? Like I said, it might be a completely different perspective. He might score 2 goals tonight against Feyenoord. You might be going into that with him full of confidence. Watkins might get one again tonight against Feyenoord. So, from a Burnley perspective, obviously, fingers crossed they don't. But yeah, it's one of them. We know we have to be on our game, even though these lads have had a slow start to the season, for us to keep them out.
Yeah. And for Aston Villa as well. I want to see us keep more clean sheets. Because last season, goal difference really cost us. So I'd like to see us keep more clean sheets. Be more stronger at the back.
Yeah, it's obviously it's a big thing in football, isn't it? Keeping clean sheets and stuff. Obviously, if you're conceding 2 goals a game, it's going to be difficult for you to then go on and win that match. Obviously, you need to score 3. But yeah, obviously Villa have got a lot of good defenders as well, so I'm sure the clean sheets will start coming more regular this season if that's what you want. But yeah, obviously from a Burnley perspective, fingers crossed it doesn't start on Sunday.
And Burnley are good at set pieces. You're probably utilise a lot of set pieces. Look a way to score. So we need to defend free kicks and corners.
To be honest with you, we've not been as good at set pieces this season as we usually are. I'm not sure Yeah, I'm not sure what the difference is there, especially when you've got players like Ekdal who did really well, not last season in the Championship, the last season before that, we were in the Championship. And it's been quite frustrating, if I'm honest with you. A lot of the corners, a lot of the free kicks just aren't really utilised properly. We're still okay at defending them, but for whatever reason, we don't seem to be scoring as much. But yeah, that's more of a sort of like a die shearer thing that seems to be hanging over us. But we've not been great at it now for a couple of years, if I'm being honest with you.
And you can certainly swing it up Villa Park. In games like that, when the game's not going your way, you sort of you set pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, well, obviously that's not something we can do really anymore. It's not something we have in our armour. So for us, it's going to be a case of hoping we start brightly, hoping we frustrate the crowd that way, and then the crowd, Villa start making mistakes, and we can utilise that. But it's going to be a long afternoon.
Yeah. So, what is your thoughts on Scott Parker?
I like him. Obviously, he got us 100 points last season. So, I think Vincent Kompany got us 103, 105. I can't remember.
Was it a record? Was it a record or something?
No, I think the record is 100 the record belongs to Reading, and I think it's 100.
You seem to get caught in the Championship.
Yeah.
Burnley always get high points, Tony's.
The last two times in the Championship, we've had 100 points last season, but finished second on goal difference. And I think the season before it was about 105, 106. So I don't think anyone's ever done it 2 seasons in a row. In fact, I don't think anyone's ever done it for 2 seasons in the Championship. I think we're the first team to do it for 2 seasons. So you would think that because we're so good in the Championship, like the last 3 times we've been in the Championship, we've either won it or finished second. So it's, in fact, the last 4 times we've been in the Championship, we've won it or finished second. So it's one of them things that you just get a bit frustrated when you get to the Prem, especially now, because obviously we spent 9 years in there, whatever it was, under Sean Dyche. So we were an established Premier League club. Whereas now it's just a little bit frustrating that we get there and it's just like we're just not good enough to finish 17th. But fingers crossed, obviously, this season we can. But yeah, going back to the original point about Scott Parker, I like him. I think he's done well. He came in last season, at the start of last season, after Vincent Kompany had left us up the proverbial creek without a paddle. A lot of the players then wanted to leave. The chairman was selling pretty much anything that wasn't nailed down. And then in the last week of the transfer window, signed pretty much anything or anyone that was available. So Scott Parker had to then make sense of that. It was a slow start, again, because of all the off-the-field stuff. The most frustrating thing about that was we played Blackburn Rovers on the 31st of August, which was the day that the transfer window closed. But in the week leading up to that, when we should have been focusing on playing against Blackburn, the biggest game of the season for us, we weren't. We were just selling everybody. Everyone's getting frustrated. Thankfully, they still didn't beat us, and they haven't beaten us in 15 and a half years now, and hopefully that keeps going. Well, they're not going to beat us this year, are they? Because they're not in the Premier League. But Scott Parker came in and had to make sense of all that, and then managed to make sense of all that. Had a slow start, admittedly, but then kicked on to the point when in the second part of the season, like boring Burnley, we were getting called by some teams in the earlier part of the season. But then we're going to places like QPR and winning 5-0. You know what I mean? Like we were beating teams quite comfortably, regularly last season, despite having this tag that, it's always 0-0 with Burnley. So Scott Parker's come in. He had a lot to deal with. He's done very well. And I like the start that we've had to the Premier League campaign. And it looks like he actually cares. Whereas Vincent Kompany in the Premier League only cared about Vincent Kompany. He wanted this. He wanted people to think he played football in the right way. He had the right philosophy, no matter what. Whereas Scott Parker, he couldn't care less what people say about the style of football as long as Burnley get the 3 points. Whereas I feel like Vincent Kompany, he just wanted people to think this guy plays football in the right way. That's why he ended up getting the Bayern Munich job, to be fair. So he must have done something right.
Because the Burnley fans, they've really took to Scott Parker. He sort of got more of a bond with the fans, I think, as well. And you look over the years, he's built his experience up as a manager. Look, he's learnt new things along the way.
Yeah, he has. It's good as well that because I do feel like he's adapted quite a lot this time. Now he's at Burnley because his last game in England before he came back to Burnley was Liverpool 9, Bournemouth 0. So I think that scared him quite a lot. So when he's come back to England, he has been a little bit more cautious. He has been a little bit more defensive. Obviously, it didn't do very well at Club Brugge either. I think he was sacked after 6 games or something like that. So yeah, he's coming in. He has adapted it slightly. He probably has gone even a little bit more negative than what he was, especially now we're in the Premier League. But like I said, I do not care what people say about Burnley or their style of play. If anything, I quite like it when we go to places like Anfield and frustrate them and draw 0-0, and you log onto Twitter and all the Liverpool fans are crying like, oh, they didn't even want to play football. Inject that into my veins. That is beautiful. But all I care about is Burnley finishing 17th. Not bothered about wanting to play football in the right way. Not that there is a right way. The beauty of football is it's loads of different styles, loads of different philosophies. If anything, Pep's come in and kind of ruined it because everybody now wants to play the Pep way or something like that. But yeah, Burnley fans have taken to him, the majority. There are some that are frustrated with the style of play, and then as soon as there's a few bad results, they jump on his back. But I think every fan base has that section these days. I always thought we were a quite patient fan base, and we didn't really have that side to us. But I think recently we are getting a bigger and bigger sort of like section of that fan base. But I think that's more of a society issue rather than a football issue. Everybody's just impatient. Everybody wants everything done for them now. But yeah, I think the majority of Burnley fans are quite fond of Scott, and you know he's done well. So why wouldn't we be?
Go with Scott Parker. I'm always right to him, not as a manager. I mean, last few years, even Bournemouth. I think I'm talking about him as well. Of course, he's very structured and set in the way he plays, but it has worked for him.
Exactly. So if it's worked for him to an extent, like every team that he's managed, he's got out of the Championship. That's 3 promotions now out of the Championship, and I think only Daniel Farke can match that, who also got his 3rd last season. So you're right. Why would he change? He probably does need to adapt more in the Premier League to be more successful in the Premier League. But like I said, he has adapted and he's doing something a little bit different now, playing the 5 at the back. If anything, being more defensive. But yeah, I agree with the way that Scott's trying to do it. For a newly promoted club to come up and open up against teams like Liverpool, even Villa's and Man United's, is only going to end in one way. All right, Sunderland have come up and done well, but they're hardly opening up and just attacking teams. But that's exactly what we tried to do under Vincent Kompany. We were just opening up and then just getting nowhere and getting spanked 4-5-0. Like the amount of times that the game was done after 30 minutes under Vincent Kompany. Like we were 3-0 down within 30 minutes so many times, or 2-0 down within the first 10 minutes. And you're just thinking, if I set off now, I'll be home for 20-minute mark. You know what I mean? Then you get to a stage where you don't particularly want to go to games. All right, I'm a big fan, so I always did go to the games. Probably didn't go to as many away games that season, but I've got a little boy who's 7.5 at the minute. And the last time we were in the Premier League, I said to him, like I took him on a few. He didn't have a season ticket then, but I took him on a few games, and I said to him towards the end of the season, I'm like, "Do you want to go on? Burnley playing today?" And he was there on his Xbox, and he's like, "No." I went, "What do you mean, no?" He went, "We're just going to get beat." I'm like, well, yeah, but that's part of it. You've got to take the rough with this move. And in the end, I dragged him on. I made sure he suffered, and we did get beat that game. And he's like, "See, this is where I didn't want to go." Whereas last season, his first ever season as a season ticket holder, and he loved it. And what a season to have as your first ever season.
That's nice, that is.
Yeah, exactly. But that's sort of like the other side of it, like being 2-0 down after 10 minutes. And Scott, we're in games with Scott Parker. Yes, we might have lost 4 of the first 6 games or whatever it's been so far, but we're in games, and the longer we can stay in games, the more chance we have of obviously getting a result.
I think last season, he did the first task. The objective, get you into the Premier League.
Yeah.
The big thing is now, he's staying in the Premier League. But the thing is, I think that you enjoy his style of football. And he's brought in some good players that are equipped for the Premier League.
Yeah, like you said, experience in Kyle Walker, experience in Dubravka, somebody like Florentino Luis who can do well in that hole in the 6th role. His nickname is the Octopus because his legs are everywhere and he's always winning the ball. So yeah, completely agree. We have brought in the right type of player, and that's again something that Vincent Kompany didn't do. He brought in the wrong profile of player, in my opinion.
Yeah, they just making that step up now. But I think out of all the Burnley teams I've actually watched, you've probably got the best chance staying in the Premier League?
For the last few seasons, yeah, I think so. Compare this to the Vincent Kompany team, and I do think we have more of a chance this season than that season.
Since him, I think, Sean Dyche.
Yeah, that were probably greatest ever as a stretch because we won the league in the 1960s. But it's the greatest team from my generation. It's the greatest team from my generation. It is the Sean Dyche team. But yeah, I do feel like we have a chance this season, mainly because I feel like finally there are some clubs, some established Premier League clubs that are going through a bit of a tough time, like Wolves. Brentford, I don't think they're great. West Ham as well, although they've just appointed Nuno, so I do think they'll pull away, if I'm going to be honest with you. I don't particularly rate Leeds. I think Sunderland will fade. I think they'll be all right now, if I'm being honest with you, from what I've seen of Sunderland, but I do think they'll fade. They're not going to finish fifth, obviously. So they'll drop down. So I agree. I think we've got a chance, but whether we do it or not, that's obviously a different debate.
So what is your thoughts on Burnley? We've just been talking about it. The $1 million question. Do you think you'll stay up this season?
At the start of the season, I said no, if I'm being honest with you. Like I said already, I think that's mainly due to the PTSD from the last time we were in the division. However, and I did say this recently, and I'm going to stick by it despite getting pumped 5-0 by City, because our season isn't defined on them games for how bad we were in the second half of that match. Yeah. Our season is not going to be defined on a poor half an hour against Man City. Our season is going to be defined on games at home against Wolves, Leeds, Sunderland, obviously the away games as well.
You're going to beat the teams around you.
Exactly.
If you do that, then you'll stay up.
And we've only played one team around us so far. That was Sunderland, and we beat them convincingly. So I've seen enough from Burnley to suggest that we can be competitive, to suggest that we can stay up. My prediction at the minute is we just about stay up. I think Wolves go, I think Leeds go, and I think Brentford go. But we'll see, because I change my mind like I change my socks, which is every week. No, obviously I'm joking. I change my socks more than that. But I change my mind every week. And that last half an hour against City, despite everything I've just said about the season not being defined on that game, did worry me slightly, because the heads went, they kept making mistakes, and then we conceded. And you can't be like that. You need to be better. And we do need to score more goals. Our strikers need to start scoring goals. It's great that Jadon Anthony scored 4 goals so far this season, but we need Lyle Foster to start stepping up. And some goals from elsewhere on the pitch as well, because at the minute, it's just Jadon Anthony.
Because so far in the Premier League, you got 4 points, but I don't think you've been awful. It's always a good sign when you lose and you still play well.
Exactly, and these 4 points have come against Sunderland and Aston Villa. That's me manifesting for the weekend. Sunderland and Nottingham Forest. And again, Forest haven't had a great start, so maybe we should have tried to get a result against them. Sunderland beat them the week after, to be fair. That obviously won at the City ground. But yeah, as long as we can keep picking up points against these teams, then we will stand a chance. And like I said, after you guys, we've got Wolves and Leeds after the international break. So a massive couple of games there before the tough games start coming again, because we've got Arsenal after that.
I don't think you've been very unfortunate in the last few games. But for a newly promoted team, also a lot worse over the years, I don't think this could be the season. But a lot of the newly promoted teams, there could be a few surprises.
Well, Sunderland have sprung one already, to be fair to them. Even Leeds, like they've had better fixtures than us. Both of them have. But after everything I've just said about Leeds, obviously getting a big win recently, I can't remember who it was against Wolves, where the likes of some of the new signings scored goals. That's massive for them. And then they got a draw against Bournemouth. Buzzing that Bournemouth scored in the 97th minute, by the way. Thank you for that, Cherries. But that, even though I do think they'll go, because I don't think there's enough goals in that team, they've given it a good start so far. So yeah, it's the best start the 3 newly promoted sides have had for quite a few seasons. So that just goes to show that they are doing a lot better this year.
And Burnley as well. They're a nice football club. They look like Jordan North.
Yeah.
Burnley's in happy place.
Yeah. He's a good lad, is Jordan. I've never actually, in fact, I have met him. The time we got relegated under Sean, well, not under Sean Dyche, we sacked him just before we got relegated, but I always see it as under Sean Dyche. I saw him outside at one of the local bars. He was just there having a cigarette. And I just walked up to him and I went, Jordan. And he went, all right, mate, how's it going? I just went, come here. Give him a cuddle. Went, we'll bounce back, mate. We'll bounce back. He's like, we will. He follows me on Twitter, funnily enough, and the page. Yeah, and the page. But yeah, his sound is Jordan. I do listen to him quite regularly in the mornings on Capital. So yeah, it's good that he's flying the flag as well. And it's a proper community club. And I don't think there's enough of these, especially in the Premier League these days. Clubs are always too bothered about international and things like that. Don't get me wrong, you have to have that side of it. And I'm glad that Burnley have started paying more attention to that side of it as well. Now we've got American owners, but we're still like the beating heart of the community. Turf Moor is like Villa Park. Turf Moor is smack bang in the middle of a residential area. It's not just next to the motorway. You know, it's not just a soulless ground that's been built recently, you know, like the Rico Arena, like the Reebok, like the Riverside. All these grounds are just tedious to me. I like proper grounds like Villa Park, like Turf Moor, like Anfield, even Old Trafford, like the Villa Park. They're misshapen and rickety in areas. That's what it should be about, man.
I like traditional stadiums because they're not the modern stadiums. You sort of lose that atmosphere.
Yeah, 100%. And football grounds, in my opinion, they should be towering above over chimneys, you know, over houses. And Loftus Road's a perfect example of that. I went there for the first time last season. I'm walking around Shepherd's Bush. I'm like, where is it? Where on earth is this ground? Next, you know, just look through some houses and it's there. You know, oh right, class. I love that. So I agree with you. I love traditional football grounds, and they should always be in the heart of the community rather than just tossed onto the side next to a motorway or next to a train track.
Yeah, and the Burnley fans are always behind their team. You know, win, lose, draw, always behind them.
Yeah, it's a small town. There's only like 75,000 people living here, but the majority of residents who like football are Burnley fans. Yes, you do see the odd Man United shirt, the odd Liverpool shirt, you know, walking around, but it's 95% Burnley shirts, and you don't really get that anywhere else. A lot of towns and cities these days are just full of other club shirts, and you know it means so much to the community. It really does, and it'll always be that way. So yeah, you know, we're a passionate fan base. We don't get the credit we deserve because we're a smaller fan base, but that's because of the size of the town.
The other good thing is you wear Clarets and blue.
Yeah, the best colours. The
best of the Clarets, yeah.
It's funny actually because I used to always think that, and it is like claret and blue is a rare colour. When you look at, you know, the 92 teams in the English league now, there's only 3 of us that wear claret and blue, but all 3 are in the Premier League now, so it doesn't seem as rare as what it is. But yeah, obviously for years we were always all the way down the bottom when I was growing up, and then you had Scunthorpe in the Football League as well, who also wore claret and blue. But they're fallen by the wayside now. I think they're National League North or something like ridiculous like that. So yeah, it's actually a rare colour, but people don't realise how rare it is because there's 3 teams in the Prem that wear it. But yeah, it's the best looking colour, isn't it? It really is, and we can both agree that blue and white is absolutely disgusting.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah. So, I'll ask you, what is your best memory for Aston Villa versus Burnley? Do you have a good memory that sticks out for you over the years?
I quite liked the game. I know we have won a couple of the battles down the years, but I think it's the one, but I can't remember. I quite like the game when we drew 2-2 at Villa Park a couple of seasons ago. Tom Eaton was in your net, and I always remember a little thing about it, like Ashley Westwood, who obviously used to play for you guys as well. He was playing for us, and Tom Heaton, who used to play for us, was playing for you. And I know that them two are really good mates, like really good mates. And they're having a bit of banter before the game. And Westwood picked the ball up in the middle after a foul, and then he lobbed Heaton from the halfway line. Obviously, it didn't count but I know for a fact that Tom Heaton was absolutely fuming with that. So yeah, I think that one really. But We've not really battled too many times down the years because obviously you were massive in the 90s and stuff, and we didn't really get promoted until 2009. So, but probably that 2-2 one, even though we did win one at Turf Moor.
I think for me, I pretty much say the guy at the 3-2 win back in 23. I think it might have been just before the new year, I think. Also, that's the one we mentioned about when Lauren Foster scored.
Yeah.
Then out of nowhere, we get a penalty against Douglas Luiz. And actually, it wasn't the greatest penalty, but it counts.
He went in. That's all that matters, mate. That's all that matters. And we can't talk about penalties anymore, mate. I'm still fuming from that one 2 years ago. And obviously, Man United recently and Liverpool have both had penalties against us. So we'll just be our luck if we get another one given against us on Sunday.
It was a good match, actually, that game. I enjoyed that match.
Yeah, it was a good match. I went that game and I took my little boy on that game. I remember he kept asking me why there were so many police in the away end. It's just normal, mate. There's just always loads of police in the away end.
So, I'm going to talk about the Europa League point. So, do you think this season Aston Villa will be able to cope with Thursday, Sunday in Premier League, Aussie, and Europa League?
Well, I'm going to have to be quick now because obviously I need to be somewhere at 6. But
give one us, Chris. Yeah, give one us.
Yeah. I think you can. You've got a big enough squad. Like I said, I'm hoping that you can't just for this weekend and then after that kick on for all I care. But it's one of them things, isn't it? We were only in the Europa League for 6 games when we finished 7th in 2018, I think it was, and it really affected us. Like we nearly went down that season because we couldn't handle the Thursday, Sunday. Even though we only did it for 6 weeks, and then we ended up losing a lot of games, getting behind in terms of points, then panicking, then making bad decisions. So it can affect teams, and I do think Crystal Palace and Forest will struggle with it this season. And I think I'm going to be wrong with Palace, to be fair. But I did say earlier in the season I think both Palace and Forest will struggle, but not go down. Obviously, Palace.
What I think, Joe, being in the previous experience, Emery in Europe, because the Conference League and Champions League. I remember when we was in the Conference League, Emery already knows what Thursday, Sunday's like.
Yeah, true. So he's got the experience. You've got a good squad. You've got a big squad. So you should be able to cope with it, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, as long as if we don't get too many injuries, because injuries could affect us, I think. We also got a small squad.
That's the thing that can affect everybody, no matter how many competitions you're in. But obviously, the more competitions you're in, the more games you play, the more likely you are to get the injuries.
Well, I'd say it's get a bigger squad.
It's one of them with bigger squads, isn't it? How do you then keep everyone happy, especially if you get knocked out with the Europa League quite early on? So it can come with its sort of like its dangers having a bigger squad. But I can understand why you'd want one.
Well, so Joe, before you go, can you give me your score prediction for Sunday?
I'm going to go 1-1, but I'll be honest, it's in hope rather than expectation. I'm hoping that the midfield absences will play into Burnley's hands because I do think we've got quite a strong midfield for a team that's down at the bottom end of the table. And again, excuse me, and again, I'm hoping that the final game can play to our advantage because we've got to make these moments count when we're playing teams that are in Europa League action on the Thursday, because it's not going to happen, or Champions League action, for example. But it's always the Europa League teams that I think they're the biggest ones because they're not as good as a team that are in the Champions League, hence why they're in the Europa League. They haven't got bigger squads, so this can affect them more. So these are the games we need to start with making count. If it was at the Turf, I'd be probably a little bit more confident. Yeah. But it's going to be tough, don't get me wrong, and it's going to be a long afternoon. But like I said, it's probably in hope rather than expectation. But I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility. So 1-1 for me.
Well, I think you went like my prediction. I went for 3-0. Aston Villa.
Yeah, I did see it on the email, to be fair. So I expected that.
Well, the reason why,
go on.
You're on high in confidence. But who knows? But I'm looking forward to the game. Should be good atmosphere.
Yeah, should be a good one. I always like going to Villa Park. Like I said, it's a historic stadium. Obviously, used to have all the FA Cup semi-finals back in the day. I think the first time I went to Villa Park, I went to watch an England game there years and years and years and years ago. So yeah, historic stadium, and I'm looking forward to being there.
A clean sheet. Well, Joe. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you for inviting me, mate. It's been a pleasure, and obviously, I wish you luck for the rest of the season, especially in the Europa League as well. I always like to see the English clubs do well, but I'm hoping it's after Sunday, mate, for obvious reasons.
Well, hopefully you guys stay up. And
thank you,
mate. Apart from Sunday.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Appreciate that.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please remember to subscribe. Make sure to smash the like button. Let's try and get as many likes as we can this video. Make sure to give it a share on all of your socials. And if you're listening via audio, make sure to leave us a good review. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And good luck to Aston Villa tonight. Thank you so much for your time, Joe.
Like I said, mate, thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
I'm going to wrap up this episode with Villa forever as always. And up the Villa.